Going out live then? Oh, okay, cool. Hi guys, we're live. Welcome to Missed Apex Podcast's sim racing event where 6 of the panel are here. 1 commentating, Chris Stevens, hello.
Hello.
And we've got myself, Bradley Philpott, Alex Jeansy Van Gene, terrible quizmaster Chris Catman Turner, and Jake Sanson as well, who are all going to be racing. And we've got some listeners with us too. So we're going to have a practice session now. But don't worry, Chris is going to key you in. You're going to tell the live stream about what all the drivers are up to and who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be keeping you all up to date with the event that we've got here today. It should be really, really exciting. And lots of very...
Don't worry, he's better at commentary than he is at presenting. But it is going to be a lot of fun. We're here at Simply Race in Milton Keynes. They have 15 identical simulator pods with 49-inch screens. It's so immersive. It's a bit disappointing you're not racing today because you're actually quite quick.
Yeah, I had a little practice earlier before you guys all arrived and actually was doing some quite competitive times.
But he's chickened out when it's come to the competitive element. So he's out of here. But they also have some VR. But today we're just using 15 pods and you'll be able to see us on track. Even though it's a video game, it will look a lot like real racing, and Chris will be commentating. And I think we're going to have some competitive racing today. We have a ringer, because we have a professional driver with us. in the form of Bradley Philpott. We'll speak to him in a moment. He is not able to be classified, so he won't be the overall winner.
Yeah, no, we're going to force him to start from the back of each race as well. And
how will they know who I am now? There's no... It's gone.
We're also going to make sure he's not classified in any of the overall results as well.
And it'll be quite good, because when he sees this back for the next masterclass, he'll be able to say, well, in that situation on the Apex spanners, you didn't manage to get it turned in. So he'll be able to see very specific examples here.
Yeah, exactly. It should be a great showcase, and then hopefully if we do another masterclass, we'll actually be able to give them some proper examples and show them how it's properly done.
So the reason I'm doing all of this, and the reason, apart from so that we can have lots of beers with some listeners, it's the same as the karting event. You know, I believe if we're going to sit talking about Formula One and racing, we should sit here and turn a wheel ourselves. So it will be like watching a football podcast, and those guys have never done some keepy-ups.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be really, really exciting. We've got a good mix of drivers in this, you know, from the semi-pro Bradley Philpott right down to the karters.
Semi-pro. Yeah, we could. Well, you say there's also some terrible people. So look out for Harrington to be fully at the back, and look for the midfield kind of being. I would like to try and be best of the rest. If we identify the top 4, I reckon there'll be a leading group, and I want to try and win that fifth downwards battle.
You told me you reckon you can podium today.
Yeah, I didn't quite. I massively overestimated how good my time was that I did in my legitimate preparation sessions that are definitely not cheating. But you know, why would you not prepare? I don't understand. Why wouldn't you come down and practice?
Does it become cheating when you've got Brad over your shoulder?
Yeah, okay, it's probably is cheating there where I've got a coach. So the guys behind, if you look behind now, they're just getting a little look around the pod, and they're being shown, you know, what to press. Now, I've heard that we can all communicate with each other. All the pods are actually linked up for chat.
Yeah, exactly. You just press a button on the steering wheel. It's like talking to your race engineer in a top-quality single-seater car.
That's brilliant. Like Van Gien and Catman have both said they cannot do sim racing with people chatting in their ear. So my hope is that they don't find the little toggle that turns my voice down, and I'm just going to be talking to them the entire time. See if I can make them spin with my voice alone.
And we know that you can talk for Britain if needed, so...
I mean, I would be a pretty poor presenter if I couldn't talk, I suppose. So you've got your little commentary booth just behind there. You're going to have access to all the screens. I think there's going to be lots of close racing, but unlike iRacing, there's no damage on the cars today.
Yeah, exactly, which I'm sure is going to come to the aid of quite a few of these guys. As much as you know, we're not going to be doing damage to each other, hopefully that doesn't mean the racing isn't going to be dirty, and it's actually going to be quite clean. All
right, then. Look, let's get in driving coach extraordinaire, Bradley Philpott. Now, you have to give up your mic, because I'm more important than you. Here we go. Hey, Brad, come in. Come and say hello to the people on the live stream. This is
hey guys.
Bradley Philpott of Masterclass Bradley Philpott Missed Apex podcast. A terrible hugger, does not know how to do it, isn't comfortable in that situation. But racing, as far as racing goes, this is very much your home. This is Tin Tops. This is, not this building.
Yeah, GT driving, yeah.
So GT driving. So what's the main difference between trying to do, say, a Formula 3 or Formula 1 racing game and these GTE cars?
So what you're going to notice here is that basically the cars are much heavier. It's going to be much harder to make them change direction. It's going to be much harder to stop them at the end of the straights. The drivers are probably in the practice, when you watch this, when they do the 20-minute practice, probably going to be overshooting some of the corners, missing apexes appropriately, and really just getting used to the fact that there's more weight available. More weight not available, more weight there they've got to deal with than in something like a Formula Renault or Formula 3 car.
So I found that, because obviously we've all played F1 games around Barcelona, and we think we've got it nailed where to brake. So you go round that sweeping turn 3 towards the right-hander, there's a gantry over the top, and in just about every F1 game you brake when you get right to that gantry. But when we come around in these GTE cars, you brake it where you think feels normal, and it just keeps on going into the gravel. And so I've had to keep braking earlier and earlier and earlier. So is that the main danger point, that we're going to see people flying off in practice?
Definitely the fact that it's a track that they might have driven in other simulators on faster cars with more grip is going to make quite a big difference, exactly as you say. People will be used to just carrying more speed, cars with downforce, that kind of thing.
The downforce, that's key. Describe that left-hander that I was struggling on yesterday.
Yeah, so there's I think it's probably turn 5 on this circuit. It's the corner after the one where Rosberg and Hamilton ended up in the gravel a couple of years ago. Downhill left-hander. And in most single-seaters, it's not too much of a problem. It's quite easy to get the car on the line that you want. But as you found out a couple of days ago, or yesterday, these cars find it a lot harder to get to the right speed to make the apex there, and you can lose a lot of time just by being a couple of meters wide.
So you've got to brake before you see the corner. That's what I was really struggling with. Well, not you, but someone with my limited braking skill.
You've just got to be ready to brake earlier than you might expect. That's all. So anyway, that's one of the issues. I think drivers are also going to probably find it quite difficult to control these cars once they're sideways. So a big thing will be not ever really allowing the car to get too out of shape, because they are big, heavy lumps traveling very, very quickly, lots of momentum. And once you start to lose the rear end, not only are you going to be losing loads of lap time, but you will probably struggle to gracefully hang on to the slide.
So what do I do in a slide? Because I've only driven this track before in an Astra on the sim, I think, which was a front wheel pull. So if you get a bit out of shape, you just extra throttle to pull you forward. I guess that wouldn't work in these.
Yeah, don't do that. So in these cars, obviously all rear-wheel drive. We've got a variety of GTE cars. I'm not actually 100% sure what we've got other than a BMW M8. Yep. We've got a Corvette.
I didn't learn the extra letter yet. Corvette,
and
Porsche.
We've also got a Porsche. Yeah. Is there anything else, or just those three?
Those three. Just
okay,
those three.
So obviously all rear-wheel drive and all very, very powerful rear-wheel drive cars. If you lose the rear end on the power, come off the power, and keep the front wheels pointed where you want to go. So turn into the slide, apply opposite lock. If you lose the rear end on the way into a corner, just hope. Look for a way out, run wide, but try not to actually let the car spin. So there's quite a lot of runoff here at Barcelona, so also some tarmac runoff. So you can abort the corner if it's really going that badly wrong.
And what you've got to remember here, the guys who are used to doing iRacing sim, if you come off and hit a wall, your car's wrecked. So you've got to try and go back to the garage. Here, you just sort of reverse out and go.
Yeah, once you actually make contact, it's much more forgiving here today.
And I have to. That's why when I realised that no damage was going to be the way to go forward, just so we could have a good event. That's why I went away from single-seaters, because with the front wing, you'd go, hang on, the front wing should have just shattered into a million pieces. I thought here, be a bit more realistic.
Yeah, that's right. And these cars, I was watching Sebring last night, and they do bounce off each other a little bit.
They do.
So hopefully we'll have some good racing.
Well, we'll see how they do in the stewarding of what is acceptable. But just between you and me, because they're all over there now, if I just give it like a proper, if I use you as a brake on the inside, get on the inside, I'll get away with that, won't I?
Okay, so
on the inside of a corner, I'll just put myself on the inside and use you to slow myself down.
If you don't tap that person's rear and spin them around.
So as long as I can get alongside, I can use them.
Ultimately, it's down to the race directors here and what they deem is
they're not listening, I'm sure. I'm sure.
But in my experience here, what will happen is the person who gets spun around, even if it was not particularly your fault, they're going to shout loudly. It's going to be relatively quiet in here, apart from the sound of like a rumble of all the engines on the base shakers on all the different pods. And so it's relatively quiet in terms of people's voices. Someone will then suddenly shout and complain and say, "Oh, he's hit me!
We've actually got voice comms with each other."
Yeah, well, they'll swear at you down the voice comms as well. But anyway, the race director will hear something has gone wrong, and they'll look immediately at pod 12 or whatever it happens to be.
And they can wind it back,
and then look at the replay and then find out.
That's the thing with the sim, you can get an instant replay on everything. So it looks like they're getting shuffled into the pods. I'll let you go and get settled in.
Yeah, you're coming too, aren't you?
I will do, but I'll let you guys get rolling. Have we got Mike? Are you free? Are you? May as well come and say hello to our live stream. This is the main man. This is the man in charge. Why don't you tell the guys a little bit about your pods and what makes them so good?
They're all equal. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and weight doesn't affect it, which is good.
And it's a fixed setup, so everyone can't play with the rear wing, the diff, the suspension setup. So everyone...
All the cars are equal?
All the cars are balanced of performance. So basically, we set the cars up so they're easier to drive from the stock setup.
Yeah.
They're quick, but to ensure that they're balanced is that we also balance them. So today your BMW's got 32 kilos.
Oh.
Porsche's at 8 kilos, and then the Corvette's the baseline because it is a bit tricky around the corners, but it's got a huge amount of grunt to get itself.
So I'm not gonna be able to blame it on my car. It is just going to be purely on skill.
Definitely not. So.
It's disappointing. Let's see. I think the practice should be very telling. Are they close to starting the practice?
Yeah, it looks like you're
okay.
going
Well,
into
let's hand over to our commentary man then. Do you need to press a button?
I do. So I'm just going to turn this mic off and
okay, there we go.
I'll be with you in a sec.
Thank you. So I'll get a bit closer. So thank you very much for joining our live stream. It's Missed Apex Podcasts. Sim race. I've been really looking forward to this. Of course, we're going karting in a month, but today it's all about the virtual world. So I'll tell you who I want to beat. I need to beat Sanson. Won't get anywhere near Philpott. Avoid him as he comes through from the back, because he's starting from the back in every race. Let's see who else we got. Oh, Catman. Very good in a sim as well. So, yeah, his quizzes might be terrible, but I think he can drive. And beating Van Gene, That would be beautiful. If I can keep it pointing forward, then maybe it'll be enough. All right, let's hand it over to Chris to take over for some coverage of the first practice session of the Missed Apex sim race from Simply Race in Milton Keynes.
Simply Race in Milton Keynes, the UK's premier motorsport simulation facility, where we are racing GTE cars around the Circuit Barcelona de Catalonia in Missed Apex Podcast first simulator event, where we've got some drama already in the pit lane. That is the number 10 car, the Porsche is that Cedric that we've got there, who's crashed into the is that the pace car they've got there? Oh dear, that's a smooth start for them, but hopefully we won't be seeing too much of that across the rest of this event. It's a 15-minute practice session we have here before going into 2 heats, both 15 minutes long. The first one, they'll be going out in pod order, and then they'll be going out in reverse pod order for the second one. And then for the final, we have a 20-minute race to determine the Ultimate Sim champion of Missed Apex Podcast. Got a few cars going off left, right, and centre at turns 4 and 5, and that will be a few of the guys just getting used to the GTE cars. Of course, I think most people who have watched racing around this circuit, it will be in Formula 1 machinery. So the fact that they're driving something with nowhere near as much downforce, or indeed top-end speed as well, might just catch them out a little bit. But we're watching Chris Catman-Turner at the moment in the 911 RSR with the Missed Apex branding on the side of the car as well, on all the cars actually, and indeed the Missed Apex Podcast branding on the circuit as well. BMW M8 GT going way off at turns 7 and 8 into the barriers as well. Just far too much speed into the corner there, and that's what Bradley was talking about, getting used to the speed. That was Benyon that just went off there. But indeed, getting used to the speed is going to be a real challenge for these guys. Martin Benyon there, the local boy from Milton Keynes, says he's had no sim racing experience, so let's maybe be gentle with him in our assessment of his driving so far. And here is Spanners, the host of Missed Apex Podcast that we're watching now, in the number 4 911 RSR, taking it cautiously at the moment. A little bit wide on the exit of that final chicane, but you can get away with that around here. If anything, it might actually open up that final corner a little bit better. I was lucky enough to have a little bit of a practice run before these guys went out here to experience a GTE car for the first time. For those of you who are unfamiliar, GTE, it's a class that's been created that will see the same kind of cars in multiple different disciplines. So you'll see them in the World Endurance Championship, the European Le Mans Series, and the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. So you can take the same car into multiple different championships, and it's really great to get these cars racing a lot more than they certainly used to be, without having to make all sorts of expensive modifications to suit particular championships. Spanner's now just coming into the downhill left-hander of turn 5. He identified this as a real problem area when he was driving the car in practice. So we're getting our first lap times in, and it's unsurprisingly Bradley Philpott, the VLN racer, who's gone straight to the top of the times on a 44.9, with a bit of a gap to Chris Catman-Turner on a 147.5. Craig McAllister in third on a 148.7. So I'm sure these first few times it will be a little bit spread out while the guys adjust and find their way around the circuit, get used to the car, adjust to the speed crucially as well, because in a Formula 1 car you'll be taking many of these corners flat out, turns 2 and 3 for example, maybe even turn 9. Not so in these machines. So dab of the brakes into that uphill turn 9 right-hander. So Spanners neatly through the final corner and that chicane as well. Let's see what his first lap time of the day is as he comes across the line. And he goes 5th fastest with that on a 150.4. This in the number 8 car is Craig McAllister, also in a 911 GTR. We had one of the Porsches going straight over the chicane there. I think that was. Yes, it was, just behind the blue BMW M8 there. So we're following McAllister on this lap, currently 3rd fastest. Takes a good chunk of curb down at turn 1. Easy does it through turns 2 and 3. See quite a few of those guys kicking up a bit of dust on the exit of turn 2 though. And off there, that was another one of the M8. I think that was Martin Bainan again. Here we go, we're going to see the number 13 car of Bradley Philpott that's gone way off at turn 7 and nosed it straight into the barrier. Uncharacteristic mistake there from Bradley Philpott. Oof, very close there with McAllister as he rejoined the circuit as well. That in the purple BMW M8 is Richard Molden, who some of you might know from the Missed Apex podcast MX5 Championship. Getting it all sideways on the way into turn 7 and spins the car around. And meanwhile, in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, we can see Philpott getting very close there with the number 5 car. So come round into that sort of stadium-esque section at the end of the lap. And going straight over the chicane again is the Porsche. Yep, Molden, and that's Alex Van Gien ahead of him in the Corvette. I can hear Bradley shouting from the pod in the commentary booth actually. He's shouting about a screen or something. Meanwhile, we've got the number 5 and the number 8 car. That's Hatton, very close there with, I think that is that Coombs? Anyway, we're getting very close on the way into turn 1. That is, Craig McAllister we've got in there, actually, ahead of David Hatton. I'll tell you what, these guys have proved to be quick in other Missed Apex events. David Hatton, we've seen him very quick in the MX5 Championship that we run on iRacing. And also, he's been rather strong in our karting events as well, as has Craig McAllister. So we could see these two getting very close together at some point today. So brake for the hairpin at turn 10, taking a little bit of curb on the way in there. Of course, more than you can do in, say, a Formula 1 car, because these cars have got a little bit softer suspension, slightly higher ride height as well, so they can ride it a little bit more. These two are very close together. I wonder if Hatton's been held up a little bit there by McAllister. They're only separated by 0.6 of a second across their best times at the moment. So it's Hatton second on a 47.1. Turner a 47.5, and then McAllister 47.7 And then also close there is Jake Sanson on a 47.8. So certainly these guys are quite close.
So just making you aware, Malden has not set a lap because he keeps cutting a corner.
Okay.
So hence why nothing's up here at the moment.
So that's me. He hasn't set a valid lap time yet.
Correct.
Well, as we say, he hasn't had much sim racing experience, I don't think, outside of our MX5 championship. Yeah, I can tell you here that he, and I quote, says his karting experience is a bit. Oh, off there, the number 2 BMW there. Of Malden there again, so still not going to get a good time in. And is he going to cut the chicane again? Oh, he's come to a stop. I think he's letting the traffic through, and it's still not going to be a valid lap because now he's cut the chicane again.
Struggling a little bit.
That's Bainum behind him, who is the man ahead of him just in the timings on a 2:28.6. Feel like he's got a bit of time to go still. Oh, it did actually count that lap at 2:18.6. Well done, first lap of the day for Richard Malden.
I think he didn't gain any time, so it didn't invalidate his lap. I think
that seems fair. So it's quite a clever system that we've got going on here then, where it can tell if you've gained an advantage or not, and whether you're actually worthy of a penalty.
So are you finding commentating on your first sim race?
It's all right, isn't it? I mean, it's a wonderful facility that we've got here at Simply Racing Milton Keynes. Loving the technology behind it. It's certainly the most advanced thing that I've been able to use in my commentary career. And I must say, we're all very delighted with the Missed Apex logoing that we can see all over the track and on the cars as well, making sure everyone knows who they're watching. And of course, Missed Apex podcast, we do Formula 1 and Formula E shows, so you can find more information about that on missedapexpodcast.com.
You might be able to explain that from Peter. Who's going to give the largest or biggest flag award this year? Is that to do with the previous podcast?
I'm not sure I understand that. that reference. Maybe that was on a show that I wasn't a part of. Maybe I could maybe guess who's going to get the blackest flag in this race.
Well, depends on how hard someone takes someone's eye out. Whoa!
Oh, another car off. That's the BMW M8 that's gone off again. We'll get a replay of that. And meanwhile, we're watching the number 10 car of Daniel Harrington, who you may remember from the Missed Apex karting event. Of course, watching in the chat room, we've got Vincent van der Hoek, who you will also know from the MX5 Championship. And welcome to everyone on the live stream. We're simulcasting this on the Missed Apex Podcast YouTube channel, the Simply Race YouTube channel, and the Simply Race Facebook page. So welcome to everyone watching this online. Oh, and off there was Harrington. Just lost it in the middle of turn 3. That's a scary place to be having a moment. It's the BMW M8, one of the relative new cars, and here we have the replay of what happened to that number 3 car. Of Martin Coombs, and just a bit too much speed into that turn 12 right-hander. It's a long corner and it can catch you out. We've got a car stopped on the pit straight.
Not sure who that is at the moment.
Is he having a practice start, do you think?
He is moving slowly but surely.
Very slowly but surely. Martin Coombs, of course, one of the key protagonists of the Save Donington Park movement, who we had on our show a few weeks ago, telling us the incredible story of how him and a few friends just meeting up at Donington Park, showing their support, helped save that circuit, and we're very grateful to him for doing so, because it is one of the gems of the British motorsport crown. So we're watching Sedgwick again, who we saw colliding with the pace car a little bit earlier on. Who is that has stopped? That is Hatton that has stopped on the pit straight and is sort of going and stopping and probably adjusting some of the settings on the steering wheel, which you can do at this venue. You can adjust the stability control and the traction control, which is a neat feature for these guys. But when I tried to do it earlier while I was driving, I made quite the boo-boo of it. So maybe he's smart pulling over and doing it on a straight, if that is what he's doing.
Either that, he was checking his phone.
Wanting to leave some comments in the chat room, perhaps.
Possibly. I think some people are getting quite a bit of chat, and it looks like practice has just come to an end as well.
Yeah, over already.
So you can hear Grant in the background, and I think you can see Spanners on his way here.
Running down.
Did I look amazing? I managed to get one lap near the end.
I think you were down towards the bottom of the
oh
the
no,
order,
what's the final standings? I think I just broke 48 on the last lap, but consistency is a huge problem for a few of the guys down at the back.
We did see a lot of incidents down there, and there you can see us on commentator cam.
Hello.
Yeah, there were quite a few incidents that we saw down there. A lot of people really struggling to get used to the speed of a GTE car.
It's very quick. I mean, we do a lot of our sim racing on MX-5s because it's close racing and everyone can do it and everyone can jump on. So this is a big step up. Anyone looking good?
Well, Philpott naturally looks very good, but I think the usual contenders
so
of
sort of Hatton, McAllister.
Exactly, yes. So the kind of people that we've seen do well at our previous karting events and indeed in the MX-5 Championship.
So are we starting where we qualified in that session?
No, so the grid for the first heat is going to be in pod order, and then we'll have the second one in reverse pod order.
In reverse? Oh, I see. So it's almost random.
Exactly. Well, essentially, yeah. And then we will take the average of the two, and that will be the grid for the final.
You say random, but you sent me a list, and that's the list.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Oh, right. I didn't know. If I'd have known, I'd have put myself on pole. It's terrible. Oh, well. Good. Anyway, you've got the live chat up there, so hello to the live chat.
Yeah,
just remember that we're going to do a quiz and a live recording as well sometime this evening. Try and let you know as soon as possible. We're just a little bit behind schedule. Sorry to leave you in Chris's hands. I know, we all know what he's like, but he's all right at calling a race. So, here we go. I don't need to hand you this, do I? I just need to run away.
Yep, just run away. Go. And we'll queue up.
Can we get that list, perhaps?
Yeah, we will get that list. Yeah, not a problem. Okay, so
yes,
we're just going to queue up.
up.
We've got some races that we do take seriously here at Simply Race. We've got an endurance series that I'm sure you'll discuss a bit more with myself, and also some. Spanish going to grab a bottle of water there, but here we go. Here's a quick video about what we do here.
Well, of course, the big event coming up here at Simply Race in Milton Keynes is the Simply Race Endurance Championship. The next event on the 6th of April, the 12 Hours of Nürburgring. That should be an exciting one for you guys.
Yep. It is the GP circuit, however, and not Nordschleife.
Which I think some of the drivers will be relieved about.
Yes.
Because I've been around the Nordschleife and it's a scary place.
It's awesome.
It is awesome.
I do enjoy it.
It is very much good fun. There we go. That's a list of everybody taking part. So we should have a nice idea of who's where in this race.
Yeah, so just on the chat, whilst you're watching the stream as well, you're not going to see our faces all the time.
No,
I'm sure you
thankfully.
get quite bored of that. Mention on the chat, if you've got questions, go ahead, fire away. Not just about Simply Race, of course, about Mr. Apex and the guys. Whoops, my mic went out a bit. We do have the grid for each of the races as well. Who do you think is going to win? So Dan Harrington's going to start on pole. Richard Malden, who struggled a little bit during practice as well.
Yeah.
Will start second. Martin Bain in the third. Spanner's going to start in fourth. David Hatton in fifth. Chris Turner in sixth place. Jake Sanson seventh. Craig McAllister eighth. Lee Coons ninth. Ryan Sedgwick in 10. Sam Watley in 11, Nick Abbott in 12, Brad Philpott in 13, Alex Van Gien 14, and Adriano in 15. It looks like we can join them on the grid right now as well. So here we go. It will be a standing start. They're going to wait for the red lights to change to green. All four will appear on their pods, and then off they go. So I'm going to hand over to you, Chris.
Harrington, as we mentioned, on pole with Richard Malden in the BMWs in second place. So it's red versus blue off the line. We've got the lights, and they're out now, and that looks like a clean start for Daniel Harrington. Although has Richard Malden just been able to get the drive alongside him? I think he has their side by side, jumping straight into fourth place there. Third place there, I think, is David Hatton. And then we are also following the 13 car of Bradley Philpott, who started at the back of the grid, got himself up into 9th place already. Bit of contact there with the number 10 Porsche of Ryan Sedgwick, and there's carnage on the exit of turn 2 off there. That's David Hatton. I think Spanners was involved in that as well. Philpott's managed to safely navigate it. Off there is one of the BMWs as well. That's the number 3 car of Martin Bain. Carnage at the start of this race, but it's Malden who leads, and more contact between the Corvette and the Porsche. Try and see who that was. Turner was involved in that as well. McAllister, Hatton. So all kinds of craziness going on at the start of this, and all this is to Bradley Philpott's advantage, who's come up from last to 4th place. But it's Malden who leads, 1 second clear of Daniel Harrington in the second BMW there, with Jake Sanson in the Porsche in 3rd, Bradley Philpott, and then Lee Coombs in the number 9 Porsche in 5th place, just ahead of Alex Van Gien. Antonio Medeiros, the Palmer Sport driving instructor, and we are just with the leaders now. So that is the number 2 car of Richard Malden that's just gone deep into the turn 10 hairpin, and now Daniel Harrington is all over the back of him. So the 2 cars have started on the front row of the grid with the cleanest start, maybe unsurprisingly, but leading this race, and Harrington is going to try and find a way through as quick as he can. Malden a little bit deep into turn 13. And deep into the chicane as well. He's back in the pack up, because here comes Sanson in the Porsche as well, closing right up. 0.6 of a second, covers the top 3 at the end of lap 1.
So just going to bring up the replay on the start of the race. We'll watch that from an overview. So here we go, heading down into turn 1.
So Philpott's already made contact there with, I think that is the Corvette, was it, of Adrian Medeiros?
And this is where they all punch up into turn 2. Driver behind tries to avoid.
And we've already got a car spinning. That's the number 5 of David Hatton. So I think he dropped it all on his own, and then collects the Porsche and the Corvette. And we can hear Bradley Philpott yelling Sanson from the pods. So perhaps there's some drama going on there. But look at that, all kinds of carnage unfolding from that. So we can still hear Philpott yelling from there. So So we have now got Jake Sanson leading in the number 7 Porsche with Daniel Harrington, and Philpott seems to have dropped off the radar, which might explain why he's shouting so loudly at the moment.
Yeah, well, I'll try and get a replay very shortly of that as well. But in terms of the start, pretty hectic would be the best explanation of that one.
Yeah, I can't say that I wasn't expecting anything less from some of these guys, to be honest. The MX5 Championship that we run has had some amazing racing in it, but there has been known to be the incident or two. Jake Sanson straight lining the final chicane there. Did he gain a bit of an advantage? 2.5 seconds is the gap to Richard Molden here.
So currently just trying to find the replay, and it looks like I have found it, so I'll bring that up very shortly. So Jake Sanson was involved, so we're going to watch it from the beginning and unpan. Here we
so
go.
It's coming around turns 1 and 2 then. Sanson sniffs up the inside of Molden, they make contact, and they're side by side through 3, which is brave stuff, so can't fault his determination. He's going to pull this move off, he is, and Philpott fancied taking both of them, and I'm not sure that he was justified in his yelling there.
Neither do I. I think he tried to stick it up in the inside line there, but unfortunately Jake was slightly in front. Had to leave a little bit of room, of course.
Oh, and he makes contact with the Corvette for good measure.
And to be honest with you, that's unsafe rejoining the circuit, so unfortunately Bradley did deserve that a little bit.
Might pick up 2 penalties there. Unfortunately, and going off in the background there, that's the other Porsche. Similar livery on that's the number 9, Carvley Coombs. Just a bit too much speed into there, I think it was.
I think he might be a bit upset. It's in the number 13 car.
Well, that's what we said that, didn't we, before we went into the driver briefings? We were giving him an unlucky number 13. It's proven to be the case.
Has he just been a bit unfortunate?
Well, he's also in position 13 as well, so I think that's the double whammy. But he was very fortunate at the start, and I think maybe this is the karmic balance of that. Meanwhile, we've got the number 10 and the number 15 car of Adriano Medeiros and Ryan Sedgwick battling it out for 11th place. At the front of the field, Jake Sanson has really pulled away. 5.5 seconds now his advantage over Richard Molden, with Alex Van Gien now 3rd, David Hatton in 4th, Chris Catman Turner in 5th.
So just got a replay. Bradley Philpott going up on the inside, plenty of room.
Where he was going quite deep into the corner there was the Corvette, and oh dear, is he going to clatter him as well?
He's not having a good race.
No, it hasn't, and that's Adriano Medeiros, and I think those two used to work at Palmer Sport together. I'm sure Adrian is going to have some words with Bradley about the standard of his driving there.
Oops.
So that there is Sam Watley, a familiar name from our MX5 Championship, in that number 11 Corvette. Have we had more contact from Bradley?
Well, no, it's not that. I just love the comment from Mark Greenhow. I'm beginning to reassess my feelings about the Philpott driving school.
And Philpott will go on endlessly about his lane system when it comes to wheel-to-wheel racing. I'm sure he will find that he was driving into a disappearing gap there with Sanson. But we've got 3 Corvettes line astern here coming out of turn 9. The number 9 car of Lee Coombs battling there with Medeiros and Bainon, with Medeiros going a little bit wide on the exit of turn 10. But this is towards the tail end of the field, unfortunately. This is Spanners in the number 4 Porsche. Felt like he could get a podium out of this race. I think the carnage that unfolded at the start might not have helped him there, but he's battling away with Craig McAllister for 5th place. Looks like this is probably the best battle on track at the moment. As they head down towards turn 1, it's Porsche versus Porsche. Spanners seem to have a little sniff up the inside there, but I don't think that was going to be coming off anytime soon.
There's a lot of comments coming in about Philpott's driving. I fear his reputation may have been tarnished by this event, but I can see he has just gotten through on the Corvette there, and is now trying to work his way past one of the Porsches, I think of Nick Abbott. So it won't be long before he's on the tail of his BRKC buddy, Alex Van Gien. More shouting from Philpott there. I wonder what that's about this time. Meanwhile, I think Craig McAllister has made a mistake somewhere, because Spanners has now picked up 5th place, but McAllister is nowhere to be seen on the shot. 3 seconds behind now he is. Merkman in the chat room is wondering why Jeansy is not the talk of the race. How is he not hitting anyone? Which I think is fair. He did tend to get his elbows out during the karting events. I think we're going to get a replay of what happened to Craig McAllister. Yes, we are. So it's on the run into turn 4. Seems like he's going to make a mistake here. Yep, far too much speed. Loses the back end for good measure as well. And off, touches the wall there, unfortunately. So that's what cost him 5th place. Has allowed Spanners to get through. We've got a little under 6 minutes left in this first heat. Before we go into the second heat, which will be in the reverse starting order of this race.
Yeah, so Adriano will start on pole, Alex in second, and I would say Brad would probably start in third, but
we're sending him to the back of the grid for all of these races, because I think in the interest of fairness, because he is insanely fast, being a professional racing driver, racing in the VLN Championship this year, where anybody else doesn't quite have the same caliber, I fear. So we're watching David Hatton in the purple BMW M8. And behind him, Chris Catman Turner, our quizmaster, who is going to be quizzing us in the live podcast recording we're doing later today. I think about 7 PM we're aiming to live stream that one. In addition to our usual Australian Grand Prix race review on Sunday. If you're just hearing about Missed Apex podcast, if you're perhaps one of the listeners on the Simply Race stream, we do Formula 1 and Formula E race reviews and news on Missed Apex and the E radio show. You can find all about us on missedapexpodcast.com. And conversely, if you're listening on the Missed Apex stream and this is your first time you're hearing about Simply Race, go and check them out at simplyrace.co.uk. So we're seeing some erratic driving here from Turner. He's jumping up on those curves, but he seems to be putting the pace in.
Yeah, and it's good to see Malden in 4th place as well, from such a poor practice from himself. He probably wasn't quite happy with what he was doing.
It did look a bit scrappy. It did look a bit scrappy, but he's done well. Kept himself out of trouble, crucially as well, and not been throwing it at the scenery all that much.
Okay, so I've just I get messages from race control, which is always good. So the Corvettes are looking good now. So apologies during practice, they didn't have the correct liveries, and managed to sort that out. Turn 1 incident was reviewed several times.
I
imagine. He's classed it as a racing incident, no further action. Incident between Philpott and Sanson, no further action. And the reason behind it was Philpott was not alongside when the door was shut. He basically jammed his nose in till the last minute. He wasn't alongside. And I think they discussed it during briefing that your majority of your car, half the car, has to be up alongside that.
It's the karting rule, isn't it? You have to be able to see the guy in order to leave him some space.
Yeah. You got mirrors.
You do, but how many of these guys are going to be checking them? That's the crucial thing.
Yeah, well, you would have seen on the replay as well that Brad was flashing the headlights as well.
But to be fair, I think Bradley suffered enough with going off and then collecting another car as he rejoined as well. So maybe he's been punished enough.
So we joined Sanson there. Race leader.
And that gap to David Hatton has come down 3.5 seconds. I'm not sure if he's got enough time in the rest of this race to mount an attack, but Jake Sanson doing a sterling job in the Porsche 911 RSR. Of course, the key player in Downforce UK, now a 24-hour service, I believe. You can listen to all sorts of motorsport radio headed up by Mr. Sanson.
Oh, someone's just mentioned they cut the chicane by mistake, but I think it's given them a penalty. Quite rightly, though.
Please don't penalise me, it was only a mistake. Then we got some side-by-side action towards the back of the field. Was that Craig McAllister that I saw there? Because we've now got him ahead of Spanners, and Richard Malden, I think, has come a cropper of Bradley Philpott, who's gotten back up to 4th place. Oh, we can hear some real shouting going on in the back of that. Just under a minute left in this race now. I'm going to be able to see what was going on. There was I can't tell who's shouting quite so loudly in the pod there. Hopefully we'll get a few of these guys in between the races to talk about what happened out there. So this is Bainon in the number 3 BMW we're watching here. Is he going to get slightly tail happy on the way into turn 5? I think he is. Beautiful slow-mo shot there. A lap down now he is, along with Lee Coombs. So it is indeed Philpott who's taken 4th place. Malden, McAllister and Spanners, the rest of this battle that we're watching now. We're following Spanners in 7th place now. So he has lost out to Craig McAllister. And here we're watching the battle of the Corvettes. And that is the number 12 car of Nick Aber that's just gone off at turn 4.
Looks like the gap's come down. It's 0.4 of a second between the top two. Sanson's made a mistake. He's got Hatton all over the rear.
And this is the last lap now, so if Sanson wants to keep this race, he's going to have to get his elbows out. If Hatton wants it, he's going to have to try and make something happen. He's getting out of shape out of turn 10. Was that his last opportunity? There's not too many places yet. He's running out of corners now, but he is nose to tail with the Porsche. Which of these two is going to come out on top? Sanson is trying to run defensive, but is he slowed up too much? Because Hatton had a little look. Has he gone too deep into the chicane? Hatton snaking away. He's trying to push him through the final corner. It's going to be a drag to the finish line. Hatton's getting a little bit out of shape through there. It's going to be Jake Sanson that takes it, unless David Hatton can make something happen in the final few corners. We can hear Sanson shouting away, whooping with joy as he takes victory in the first heat from David Hatton. Only a couple of tenths in it in the end. What a battle that was on the final lap. We're going to have Chris Catman-Turner in 3rd place, and Bradley Philpott
just overtakes.
I think he's just lapped Lee Coombs. I think he has done there. Okay. So he's just taken 4th place, and then we'll have Craig McAllister in 5th, Richard Malden in 6th, and Spanners in 7th. That was a good scrap by that lot. And then we got a bit of a gap back to Alex Van Gien, who he may be quick in a go-kart, but he has never bragged too much about his sim racing pace. Yep, there he is, Van Gien across the line, and Adriano Medeiros from the back of the grid up into 9th place, Nick Aber in 10th, Daniel Harrington 11th, and then we'll have Sam Watley coming over the line in 12th, Ryan Sedgwick in 13th, and then a lap down here we're going to see Lee Coombs and Martin Bainon. Here they come now across the final corner. And that is race 1. The first heat that we had there. Hopefully some of the drivers will fancy having a word. Sending Mike out there to go and speak to some drivers. they feel like having a bit of a chat amongst themselves, actually, because that was quite the entertaining first race.
So take a yeah, so probably okay, so I'll give you mics. I'll bring the webcam on, so you might need to pop down a little bit. Oh, actually, let's just get all 3 chairs. Okay. Yeah, actually, you can hear. Brad can actually, you can start talking.
Okay, so hey everyone, if you can hear me. So obviously I've only had a cockpit view of the said incident between myself and the controversial race winner Jake Sanson, but from my point of view, I was catching a couple of seconds a lap. So I was catching a couple of seconds a lap and
controversial win, Brad.
Made my presence
come
felt
on.
very clearly on the inside.
Surely even a racing driver knows when he's beaten.
Let's see the replay before we.
I've never driven like that before.
Judge.
Ever. My goodness. That's my first ever win in sim racing.
Quite the defence you had at the end there as well, Jake.
Well, I knew he was coming. I knew Hatton was a second and a half a lap faster than me, and I thought, well, the Porsche's wide, so if I just keep a wide berth and get decent acceleration out of the corners, I should be all right. And he was really, really tough in the last couple of corners.
Yeah. I mean,
he should have had that, really.
I mean, your race win was fine and all, but I mean, when it comes to the most important decisive incident in the whole race that prevented the rightful
when
winner
you tried to
from
overtake
taking
me
the
and it
victory,
didn't work, Brad.
I'd really like
you're
to see.
referring to?
I assume we can see this from various angles.
The professional racing driver can't get past
we need
the
to see
fat
this
bloke
from
in a Porsche.
above.
Stop! You both talking over each other. It's so bad.
At least Spanis doesn't have to edit this bit.
So what are we going to see? Can we see a replay of the incident?
I'm trying to bring it up right now.
So we're going to see it as the TV cameras saw it.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to like an actual overhead. Right. Okay. See, this isn't going to be conclusive at all, then, is it? So from my point of view, I'd lined up Jake Sanson, flashed my headlights a few times. You know, saying I'm about to come through. Yes. Lined him up on the inside and outbraked him. And by the time I was halfway alongside, Jake Sanson decided that I wasn't there. I was just a figment of his imagination.
You were 0.48 alongside me. You weren't quite halfway.
And yeah, but any overlap is enough that you can't turn in towards me.
Not.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at this.
We are just watching turn 1 incident.
Right.
That was carnage.
Yeah, I managed to avoid all that.
This is because I got nudged in the left door. And that slipped me sideways.
Who did that?
Who was the
you
missile?
You got away with everything.
Who was the blue car? Is this me?
This is you.
Right, okay. I had no idea what colour my car was. So that's me. So yeah, I managed to avoid all that.
I get the incident. If you don't even know what colour your car was, never mind where you were on the racetrack.
I then set about clawing in Jake Sanson.
You were fast. You were really fast. I couldn't have.
So obviously we'll just carry on through this lap. I just got closer and closer, and yeah, I guess we just have to wait for the replay to get to that.
Sorry, you're going to see him on camera just constantly pointing at these two because they keep talking over each other, and I'm sure on the stream you just can't make out a thing.
They just need to know how wrong Jake is.
They need to know how wrong I was.
So essentially, yeah, Jake turned towards the apex, which would have been absolutely fine if I wasn't there, but I was there, as was demonstrated by the fact we made contact.
Have you ever lost a race, Brad? Ever?
Can't remember.
No,
I don't think so.
He's really
so we're at the end of the previous lap here. So I guess you're going to see this incident we're talking about is in the background. And I don't know, can the guys on the stream...
These two were tippy-toeing around each other, and I had an opportunity because he ran wide, but I thought, just hang back a bit, hang back a minute, and let them deal with their thing. And I got a good run on him, and I thought, well, if I try and make an overtaking move, he's going to outbrake me and run into the guy in front. That's genuinely what I thought. And he almost did it.
So it's cut away from the replay
at the wrong moment.
Yeah, we need to see what's actually happening on.
Yeah, I did go back, so it's a bit forward. Yeah, just bear with me a second.
I did the leader.
It was on this. It was on this lap, I think.
I did the leader so beautifully.
Whilst watching these two guys, seeing a screen that you can't see at the moment,
I assumed the stream could see what we were
The
saying.
impressions are that it was carnage on that first lap.
really
and,
was.
Absolutely.
trying to avoid
A
everyone.
pair of us very nearly got taken out in all that.
Yeah, I avoided one incident, then caught another spinning car.
Yeah.
But I think everybody is going to be a little bit wiser this time and try
that
and keep
mean
a
I'm not
cool
gonna win
head.
this
So
time?
can
on
I?
that
I'm
one.
going to give a little tip to everyone.
Go on, do it.
Hopefully, no one out there can actually hear what I'm going to say, because
No.
this will help them. It'll help you. I'll give you some
It
assistance.
was up me. Oh, good.
If you go off, immediately get traction control turned completely off, otherwise it won't let you drive away from the gravel. In much the same way that if you're in the snow and your road car, you need to turn off ESP and traction control to allow the tyres to actually spin. Because with all the electronics turned on, the car senses the wheels spinning and completely cuts the power. So you end up stuck in the gravel and the wheels won't turn. It'll just do a little slip and then stop, and a little slip and stop. If you turn off traction control, it lets you spin the wheels, you can drive yourself straight out of the gravel. So
You got a good bit of practice
I
on that, didn't you,
I
Brad?
had to utilise that a couple of
Top
times
racing
because
driver
of Jake
tip.
Sanson. So I learned
This
that
is why
fast.
Brad Philpott's on MAP, isn't it?
So here we go. Is
Top
this the move? This is it.
See,
so
I got
we're
up on the
watching
inside
replay.
of this guy. I got up on the inside of this guy, and I thought, well, let's just drive out. And then you're on me like a ton of bricks.
I'm pretty close to you, aren't I? In fact,
You
I'd
are.
say as much as I actually have an overlap on you right now.
No, you don't.
And now that
no,
breaks
you
you.
don't. No, you're not even halfway. You're not even halfway.
You
You're
don't
not
need to,
even halfway.
halfway. You're right. I was not halfway.
You're not even halfway, mate.
I know. I wasn't halfway.
You're not
which is
even halfway. You're not even halfway, mate.
Brad-
They all agree with me. They all agree with me out there.
I also agree. I wasn't halfway.
And then you got rammed by someone else.
well,
See, you got rammed by someone else.
I'd
That's
argue.
not mine. That's not mine.
Unsafely passing the scene of a yellow flag incident. But anyway.
Seriously, they all just went ballistic out there
Well-
when they saw me claim my lead.
Well,
The chat room has also given Bradley Philpott an
You
extra
weren't-
5-second
weren't
time
halfway.
penalty for being colourblind.
well.
Yes. Philpott is not only colourblind, but he's also driver blind. What the hell
Anyway,
was that?
I think we can all agree Jake Sanson violated the lane system. He just doesn't. It's ignorance
Yeah.
is no excuse.
Brad
Jake
didn't
Sanson,
pay attention in driver briefing. That's what Trumpets said. Trumpets is the man who knows what he's
yeah,
doing.
the problem is I wasn't actually at the driver briefing.
So he
so
misses the driver briefing.
So
he doesn't know how to race
the
a car.
rules,
That's
the
problem.
rules are different here, I imagine. So anyway, in my own personal rules, the lane system is violated. So. And
You
I'm
win
just,
your own personal motor
look,
race,
I'm here.
Brad.
I'm representing Mr.
You
Apex.
win your own
and
little world championship. That's fine. You win your own little world championship.
right,
mate.
Jake Sanson.
That's
in
to
the
be
wall.
fair. To be fair, that's the
Can
only
we
time-
shake on it?
Of course we can, mate.
Yeah.
Of
So
course
we're
we
in
can.
agreement. Just don't do it again,
Okay.
and everything will be
Do it
fine.
again.
Thanks, guys. Right, let's go race.
That was so much fun.
I beat Van Geen in that race. So.
Van Geen, you've gone down.
I was third at one point. I was third.
Yeah.
I did finish on my
Okay.
own.
Okay. So where did you finish?
Took me out as I was catching you and hunting you down.
Okay. So is 7 a lower number than 8? That's all I'm trying to. Good.
No,
Good.
No. We're going backwards.
Okay, so
Can't
it's all
stand that
happening.
little guy.
So,
Oh, this lot have been absolutely wild about this first race. And frankly, I can't blame them, because that was quite a controversial moment. And if you are watching in the chat room, do let us know what you think. I think a lot of people are in a bit of agreement, though, that Philpott was the man to blame. Bradley Black Flag Philpott, Max Crashtappen Philpott as well is the comments coming in, and they also think it's rather funny that he wasn't paying attention to the driver briefing.
oh well, to be honest, he did miss because he was talking to Spanners at the time.
Yeah, that is fair. Maybe we should take some responsibility for that as well.
But we knew.
we knew, yeah, we paid attention during that bit.
I was doing production. I knew. Well, I do run the venue, but
I was going to say, yeah, I think you have a slight tactical advantage there, I think.
okay. So it looks like we're preparing to get ready. You can see just on the cameras on the right hand
Yes.
side there.
Heat 2, that's going to be starting in the reverse order of what the first heat started as. So this time we're going to have Adriano Medeiros in the Corvette on pole position, and then Alex Van Geen, who we just had in the com box with us.
Those are the results
He'll
there.
be very happy, and we do officially have the results of the first race. But meanwhile, we've got the second lot on the grid, with Medeiros on pole position, followed by Alex Van Geen, then Bradley Philpott in the blue and white BMW, Nick Abbott in the red and white Corvette, Sam Watley in the black Corvette, and then Ryan Sedgwick in the white and black Porsche. Lee Coombs, Craig McAllister, Jake Sanson, and Chris Catman-Turner is your top 10 as the lights are on. And it's not a great start for Philpott, who has pulled over, and I think he's going to be letting the field go by. But meanwhile, we've got Medeiros who's leading the way. That's Abbott and Van Gien side by side, I think that is, for second place on the run into turn 1. And contact there already, as I think that was Ryan Sedgwick going into the back of one of the other Porsches there.
We'll definitely get a replay of that.
That might have been into the Corvette of Sam Watley, actually, but it's Medeiros who leads, Nick Abbott in second place, Alex Van Gien third. David Hatton is up into fourth place from right down to the back of the field, so he's made up great time. And Chris Catman-Turner actually taking fourth place away there from Hatton. We've got more cars off in the background, but Turner and Hatton are battling away here. Here we are, they're side by side into turn 5. Actually, that is the number 1 car of David Harrington that's trying to go around the outside. And we've got Harrington off on the run into turn 7. He's gone straight on in that number 1 red BMW M8. He's going to cut across the gravel and rejoin somewhere in around 14th place, unfortunately. So a big issue there for Harrington. Meanwhile, 3 abreast on the back straight on the run into turn 10. The yellow Porsche making contact there with the grey and black. That's the number 3 car, Martin Bainon. Just made contact there with the yellow Porsche. I think that was of Craig McAllister. Meanwhile, we're watching Sanson go through that final chicane. Bainon still side by side, as that's the number 8 car off. That was Craig McAllister. He spun at the final chicane. So he's fallen down now to where he'll be around where Harrington is, unfortunately. So the spanners in the back of this scrap. So we've got Bainon in 10th, Watley there in the black Corvette. Number 11 car with spanner, and that is pulling over there is I'm very confused by what Martin Bainon just did. Just came to a stop at turn 1 and very much caught out the other Corvette. So an interesting tactic there. McAllister goes through. Wondering what on earth has just happened there. Meanwhile, we're going to see a replay of the start. So we've got the Van Gien, and that is, the number 10 of Ryan Sedgwick going into the back of, I think that was Nick Abbott. Meanwhile, we've got Van Gien making up great progress. Currently in 6th place here, so Abbott has taken him, actually. I think that has happened. A lot of cars off at turn 4 there. It's tough to pick them all out. Meanwhile, Malden's still going away, and Spanners actually is going way wide. He's taking the MotoGP layout of this circuit. We could be getting a penalty for Sedgwick because of the incident we saw at the start. And this second one, apparently, look, he went straight into the back of the red and white car. I think that was Spanners that we saw there, so that would explain why he's still so far down the order, because he did end up making contact with another car as well. So all sorts of carnage going on at the head of this field. Meanwhile, we've got Sanson and McAllister racing wheel to wheel, the 2 Porsches side by side into turn 1. This is the number 1 car of Daniel Harrington just behind that battle. McAllister holding off Sanson for now, the Heat 1 winner, of course. Meanwhile, Medeiros and Turner are only split by 4 tenths of a second, and Hatton is only a couple of tenths behind them as well. So the top 3 very much close together. Less than a second separates them, and Philpott is not far behind that battle as well. So Turner, Hatton and Philpott, I think we expected to see in this battle, but Medeiros wasn't showing all that much pace in the first heat. But now, having started from pole position for the second heat, and oh dear, because somebody shouting some profanity from the from the pods. We'll see going on there. Is that the 10 Porsche again? And he's clipped Harrington, and Harrington spun because of that. I think race control is going to have to take a look at that one as well. That wasn't a great rejoin there, but I think that was Sedgwick again. It might well have been, because he is a lap down now. And yep, a change for the lead as Medeiros has now fallen down into 4th place. So it's now Hatton leads Turner and Philpott in 3rd. Medeiros down to 4th. I wonder what happened there. So then we're seeing the replay of that. Now is that Medeiros who just goes in too hot and just gets absolutely mullered by everyone behind. So wonderful opportunistic stuff from David Hatton, who's now pulled away 1.2 seconds from Chris Catman Turner. And that might be why we saw him going too deep into that turn 13 right before the chicane, and this might have been an opportunity for Philpott to take the place away. But he's only 3 tenths behind him at the moment, and not too far behind them is Medeiros. So he's still got a horse in this race. And here we're seeing the defending action of Chris Catman Turner, almost forcing Philpott onto the grass. A little bump there down the pit straight. They were going to run nearly side by side. And Philpott very much the late breaker around the outside of turn 1. Turner just hangs him out to dry. Beautiful defensive driving there from Turner. That was well worth it, as they are now side by side again through turn 9. Philpott going around the outside. Sensational stuff as he takes 2nd place away from Catman Turner. I wonder if Turner made a mistake there, because it's not too often you see cars side by side through there.
Well, it was opportunistic, but it worked. Quality driving there.
It was. I wonder if he can now hunt down David Hatton and take the lead of this race, having of course pulled over to the side of the road at the beginning of the race, because he's not officially racing in this. I think we all agreed that he's just too good to be mentioned in the official results. So who do you think in the chat room is going to be winning this race? Can Philpott close down that gap? We've got 7 3/4 minutes just about remaining in this race. There's plenty of time, and 1.7 seconds seems like a doable gap. Meanwhile, Turner coming under a bit of pressure from Medeiros, and we're going to see the replay here. It's a mistake from Turner as he had to cut turn 8. That is a crucial mistake that he made there, because it just gave Philpott the clean run around the outside. Then we're seeing some side-by-side action around the back of the field. We've got Sedgwick.
Well-deserved penalty, unfortunately.
I think that is fair. He hasn't been driving amazingly in this second race. Caused 2 incidents on lap 1, so I think that is fair game. Meanwhile, this is Hatton, our race leader, having started around the middle of the field, towards the back really, of this race. So about 10th place, so he's done well to navigate the carnage of the first couple of laps and build his way into the lead, as has Philpott, in all honesty.
We got a fan for Hatton. Don't let that cheater win. Philpott's done well though, to be honest. He's come back.
He hasn't brought that gap down though, which I thought he might, but there are he is going to bring that gap down if Hatton keeps driving like that though. Did he seem a touch wide on the exit of turn 12?
He's going to feel the pressure. He'll see Philpott catching him in his rear mirrors.
It is,
now.
yeah, look, it's coming down 1.5 seconds.
2 tenths in 2 corners.
So we've got 6 minutes remaining in this race before the final. What we do, we combine the results of these 2 heats to determine the grid for the final. So you can just see the top 4 in the same shot. Meanwhile, there's a really close battle going on between Van Gien and Abbott for 5th place. Van Gien, as we mentioned, he doesn't highly rate his simulator abilities, but he's doing all right so far in these GTE cars. So coming through the left-hander of turn 5, downhill braking. Very easy to catch out the drivers, but these two seem far too skilled for that. This is the one that catches quite a few people out there to turns 7 and 8. Downhill again before the high-speed right-hander at turn 9, where we saw Philpott taking second place away from Catman Turner. And he has brought that gap back up again. It's back up to sort of 1.6, 1.7 seconds. So I think Hatton is feeling the heat. And Hatton was... Oh, no, I think I spoke too soon. He's gone too wide on the exit of turn 10. There we're getting the rear shot as well from the Porsche 911 RSR. We can see that blue and white BMW M8 closing in. Yeah, there it is, down to 1.3 seconds now. What it will be when they get across the line one more time. And another mistake there from Hatton. A bit too squirmy on the exit of that chicane. That's going to cost him momentum all the way down this pit straight. And look at that, he's already feeling the need to go defensive. Moving to the extreme right-hand side of the track, maybe a bit prematurely. Philpott is following him. 4 minutes remain in this race, and the gap for the first time is now under a second. Meanwhile, Turner and Medeiros still battling away for third place, although there's about 1.2 seconds between them now. McAllister and Van Gien. So McAllister has picked off Van Gien for 5th place there, and Nick Abbott has now joined that fight as well, with Spanners just behind them. Jake Sanson, our heat winner, down in 9th place, 37 seconds off the lead. I spoke too soon because he's just been picked off by Sam Watley as well for 9th. Meanwhile, this battle for the lead rages on. I think Hatton...
He's doing really well holding Brad off right now.
He didn't get the best of exits off of turn 7. I think he has been making a couple of mistakes now, and we are seeing Philpott start to close that gap with 3 minutes remaining in this race. Although you have to say it's going to be tough for Bradley to try and find a way. He's gone wide again at turn 10, and that again is just going to put Philpott on his back bumper. Now half a second is the gap now as they wind their way through this final sector, this fiddly technical final sector where there isn't much room for overtaking, but there's plenty of margin for error. So let's see what the gap's going to be this time. Well under a second this time though, although I think it's stretched out again just as they come onto the pit straight. 2.5 minutes remaining in this race. 9/10 of a second as they cross the line. Let's see, some people in the chat room think that Philpott can still do this.
Philpott will win the Jackie Stewart way. Spanners is Lance Stroll.
That's a bit harsh, I think. Spanners has been doing all right in his sim racing. Lately, he's definitely impressed in the MX5 Championship that we run. And Hatton's made a mistake into turn 5 or turn 4, I should say. Sorry.
He caught that.
It was a very good slide there.
He opened the gap.
He hasn't lost anything. Amazing. This is a sterling defensive drive from David Hatton. David Hatton had a rather sensational podium in our Butmore Park karting event taken away from him because of a loose helmet strap, which was really unfortunate because he was running very well in 3rd place in the A final, which had the likes of Philpott in it, so he's no slouch in a racing car. We know that much about him. And perhaps this will be his redemption for him. I'm starting to think he isn't making mistakes at turn 10 at all, and that's actually just a line he prefers, because that's the 3rd lap in a row we've seen him go wide, go beyond the white line actually at the exit of turn 10. I wonder if race controls picked him up for any track limit violations. Philpott does look to be right all over the back bumper. Lap. This is going to be the final lap now with only 45 seconds remaining. Philpott's flashing him in the middle, and look at Hatton just weaving from side to side down this pit straight. He's picked a line now because I think he's recognised that Philpott's not going to be able to have a go into turn 1. They're closing up though. Very, very tense stuff as we got one of the back markers. Good job keeping out of the way there. That was Bain on, keeping well clear of the leaders. I mean, I don't see where Philpott's going to be able to make a move. He hasn't looked much, much stronger in a place, although the gap is as close as it's ever been, half a second as they cut the timing beam under the bridge. And a couple more back markers getting in the way. Let's move out the way. No, he's made contact. And this is going to be Philpott's opportunity, is it? Surely that was Lee Coombs there in the Porsche that was just getting in the way there of the leaders. That brought them closer together, but I think Hatton's just survived this attack. Philpott, surely he's going to be running out of corners pretty soon. He's got maybe a couple more opportunities as they head up the crest of turn 9. Half a second between them. He's got this back straight. He needs Hatton to make some sort of mistake through here. No, he's got it cleanly, but Hatton's taking the inside line. Moves back over to the racing line. Philpott's not going to be close enough unless Hatton makes some sort of a mistake. He's gone wide. That's the widest he's gone. These two aren't very... See? Too close together anymore. It's on a tightrope at the moment. Philpott, I don't think he's going to have any more opportunities unless he tries something sensational at the chicane, but he's gone wide on the exit of 13 and he's just going to take it. Philpott's gone too deep and this is going to be David Hatton that takes the win in Heat 2. Sensational defensive drive from David Hatton. He takes the win and it's going to be Philpott in a dejected second place maybe. It's certainly a lot better than his Heat 1 result, but I'm sure he would have felt he could have had that win. Catman Turner, another podium. So well done him. That's 2 third places. Adrian Medeiros in 4th place.
Starting on pole. He got a 9th before, so there's a good amount of points there to get him further up the grid.
Indeed. And then we've got Craig McAllister coming in for another 5th place. That's 2 5th places for him. Alex Van Gien improving from the 8th place in his first heat to finish 6th. And we've got Nick Abbott in the red Corvette finishing ahead of the similarly liveried Spanners in the Porsche. Sam Watley will be in 9th in the black Corvette. And then Jake Sanson, the Heat 1 winner, in 10th place. Bit unlucky there, do you think?
Not sure if he got caught up in a couple of incidents before.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. There was all sorts going on in those first couple of laps, and I'm not sure how we couldn't spot him really because the pink liveried car should be an easy one to spot.
Had a lot going on as well. So we'll probably do the same thing again and bring our professional driver.
Evangelos says, to be fair, the back marker made equal contact with both cars. I'm not sure that's the point, really.
It's fair.
I mean, it is. I guess, yeah, in a way, it's fair, but he shouldn't be making contact with either of them, really, if we think about it.
Yeah, I don't think he was paying attention to those blue flags.
No, perhaps not, and it didn't look all that intentional. I will say, he probably just didn't recognise that it was the leaders coming through.
Oh, Van Gien's on his way in. Hello.
Hello.
We'll get you a mic.
See a replay of my move on Craig.
Unfortunately, we didn't pick that up.
We didn't pick that up, unfortunately. It did seem like a very, very close battle that you guys were enjoying, though.
Yeah, it was a good battle. I enjoyed it. He's more consistent than me. I think we're about equal on speed, but he's more consistent than me. I find it very difficult. I find the braking on these really difficult. I haven't got the feel.
But for a you've said your sim experience isn't exactly all that. You've done all right today.
No. I have a lot of sim experience. I'm just not very good at it. Is more the point. But no, we were in a great little battle and came out the last corner. I was right behind him, and I screamed over the push to talk button. I screamed dive bomb, and I pulled it off somehow with no locking of. Oh, it's got ABS. Can't lock brakes, but with no got ABS. But no, it was good fun. I'm knackered. I'm already absolutely exhausted.
Save some of your energy. We've still got a whole final to
I think Spanners this time. That's the important bit. He didn't get me. But no, I just need to be more consistent. And I was too cautious on the first few laps, and I got bumbled out of the way. So
fair enough.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that next time.
Let's have a word with Chris Catman Turner as well. 2 third places you've just picked up there.
Yeah, not bad. I've had a great time so far. That last race was awesome. I was having to fend off Philpott for a little bit. That was interesting. I think I might have done a max double move in the braking zone into turn 1.
And of course, Medeiros later in that race as well. You had all of you.
Yeah, he was right behind me. I was getting a bit quicker towards the end. Like I say, as Van Gien said, it's just about that brake pedal. It's really, really tough. It's much harder than I thought. I'm going to have even better calves than I already do by the end of the day.
As a cyclist, of course.
That's right.
Of course, you're running the quiz that we're going to be taking in the live podcast recording later on today. What have you got lined up for us?
Oh, it's going to be as good as it usually is. So don't check me for factual accuracy on that one. But a little bit of a spoiler alert. There's going to be 3 rounds, but most of it is going to be on 90s and noughties F1 this time. So I hear that's not your speciality.
Well, I was born in the late 90s, so I wasn't around for a lot of that stuff.
See, Spanners is the one who sets the topic. So he's
well, what a shocker.
He's a bit older than you, so you might struggle a bit. But if you slip me some cash, I might be able to help you out on that one.
Have I mentioned how nice you're looking today, and what an incredible performance we've seen from you today in the simulator?
I'm hoping for a podium in the final, but we'll see where we get to. Just keep it clean in the first corner, I think, is the big thing for that. I made a lot of time on that.
Yes, we've seen quite a few incidents
just a few.
down in those first few corners.
Just a few. I tend to hang it out on the outside and see where it gets me, because most people tend to pile in on the apex, and then you don't get anywhere. But
we're joined by Spanners as well now. How's
it's getting
that for you?
super, super heated out there. I tell you what, Sanson is just a wrecking ball. I think he's hit everyone. And I keep seeing this spinning, flying red car, and I've found out it's Dan Harrington. So I've gone and sort of seeing if there's anything wrong with his car, if the floor's damaged or something.
Sorry, I just had to pick the mic. You got shunted by Sedgwick, but he did it twice. One in start finish, and then turn 4. There was no brakes.
The thing is, the battle I was in, I think everyone got punted in that battle. So I was like, oh, that's okay. As long as everyone gets punted, it's all right, and you can sort of gather. But I think I finished 7th and 9th, which is very distinctly average. I think the chat room's calling me Stroll, are they?
Unfortunately, yeah, that was a bit harsh, I felt.
Yeah, exactly. Stroll's pretty good. No, I'm joking. No. Well, yeah, I mean, it's trying to keep your nose clean. And in that first race, I made up quite a few places just from people going off. But people are going off less now that they've got used to it, and they know the danger points.
Yeah, people are getting nicer, which is not...
Except Sanson, who is just a horrible, horrible human being. He wiped out Coombs in the light blue car as well.
I haven't come across you yet, Spanners.
Yeah, a little further back. Although your friend Nick at the end... Now,
I hear there's been a bit of an inquiry.
Race Control says the move was never on. However, there was a car there. We're always talking about the lane system. I was there. He turned into the apex. We made contact. This is an outrage. Yeah.
I'd like to say for clarity that Race Control are wonderful, wonderful people, and they always get their decisions perfectly correct. Absolutely.
This is a farce. This is ridiculous. No, it's fine. And actually, you guys can't hear it, but Race Control's always in our ears. So they're explaining the incidents, and they're going like, be less harsh here. We'll let you off with that one, but we can't see it again, that kind of thing. And then the rest is just Van Gien screaming. Yeah. Like, he just yells in the car.
We've been hearing quite a lot of profanity from all the way over here.
Oh, no, does it make it to the stream? I'm so sorry.
I hope it doesn't. Because otherwise... okay, Mike's shaking his head. Apparently we're all good. So hopefully we're going to be seeing a nice bit of action in the final.
So this is the final now. So is it based on... I wasn't listening. Is it based on points? Right, okay. So I'll be starting like 8th, presumably. Distinctly average. All right.
Yeah, you've had 2 quite opposing results, whereas Chris here has had 2 third places.
2 podiums.
That's a solid 3rd place on the grid.
But I will point out that Chris Turner, come on here, he has turned up to a sim event in racing boots. Like how...
As have many of the other guys here.
I'm not alone in that.
Jeansy's got them, Philpott's got them, your mate Nick's got them.
Yeah, I'm also cheating because one of them is black and one of them is red, so that I can remember...
know which one's which.
Right, yeah. Unfortunately, the red one's on the throttle.
Have you tried taking your shoes off, though?
There is a special award today for the Bonotto Lookalike Award, and that is going to Chris Catman Turner.
Also, I think me and Chris Stevens look a little
bit alike.
A little bit. I should probably hold the mic to my face, shouldn't I?
Almost.
How long have we got till the racing car race?
Before and after.
Hey, look, we've got a grid.
Before and after.
Which one's Chris? We've got a grid.
Oh, we better go.
Oh, we do have a grid. There we go. I can give you the grid for the next race.
That's it. I fancy that. I see a race win here.
So they get Spanners.
Can you
perfectly
put Philpott down a bit? Can we not just pull him down? Is it not just drag and drop?
That was the last race.
Oh, was it? Yeah. All right, for the next grid, though, can't you just pull him down?
That's the grid. How is it? That's the grid for the final.
Can't you just drag Philpott down? Just put him like 11th or something? Well, no?
That's very small points. That's not really that
So as you can see on screen, every time that you come to Simply Race, we record your data. So you'll see Richard. I think, yeah, he's on the spanners ready, sorry.
Yep, spanners ready in 8th place there.
So you can retrieve all this data online. Just visit the website, click on Race Events, Missed Apex Podcast event, and you'll be able to see all the points that I currently can see live. They can't hear. Let's double check. Nope. It's definitely on.
Oh, I can...
Okay, so I can...
It's not the profanity, they say. Can't hear the profanity, which is the good thing, I suppose.
That's very good. Otherwise, they will take this down from YouTube.
Yeah, that'd be a bit unfortunate, wouldn't it? But we can actually give you the grid for the final now. So David Hatton, with that...
oh, sorry. Shall I put that back? I'll put that back.
There we go.
There you go. Sorry.
So David Hatton with a strong drive there is going to be on pole position ahead of Bradley Philpott, and then Chris Turner, as we predicted, in 3rd place, having come 3rd in the first 2 races. Jake Sanson in 4th place, obviously with a win and a 10th place finish. Craig McAllister will be 5th. Adriano Medeiros in 6th. Alex Van Gien 7th, ahead of Spanners Ready. I think that's going to sting for Spanners a little bit. Richard Molden in 9th, Nick Abbott in 10th, Sam Watley in 11th, Daniel Harrington in 12th, Lee Coombs in 13th, Ryan Sedgwick 14th, and Martin Bainon in 15th. So that's I'm doing a good job. So thank you very much, chat room, for your nice comments. But it's well, unfortunately, every single time we cut away from the grid for that, the live stream gets a big close up of my face. So I might start losing points for that. But I've just seen that Van Gien is 1 spot ahead of you on the grid. How does that must sting for you a little bit, Spanners?
Thing is, though, Van Gien has been like in sim leagues and at this place and doing like proper karting for ages and ages and ages.
Whereas for you, it's a more recent thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a later in life Hamilton emulator. But yeah, I mean, I've only just started, I think I've been karting under 10 times. So those karting events, those outdoor events, I feel like I do okay. And my tactic is just keep it on the road, keep it nice and gentle. I beat Turner, Chris Catman, last time, because he kept just spinning everywhere and trying to push too hard.
Yeah, Catman wasn't very proud of his efforts at our last karting event at Buckmore Park.
No, he wasn't. He was devastated. Obviously, you can see his out-and-out pace here. But yeah, I'm relatively new to it, so Van Gien should be horrified that I'm just 1 place behind him. And the fact that he's down in 7th as well.
Yeah, we've got a few. Harrington on pole.
Hatton.
Sorry, Hatton, yes.
Harrington and Hatton are very different drivers.
Yes, no, they are.
Harrington's terrible.
Yeah, Harrington is actually way down the order.
You just have to avoid the spinning red car that is Harrington.
He's done all right in the MX5 Championship, though, but he's not done too well here.
No. He's been pretty pish. He's been consistently poor.
I've seen Harrington.
Did you just... Yeah, he's been, terrible. But at least he's nice about it. You've got Van Gien, he's just been wiping everyone out. I just said to Sanson, stop wiping people out that have come all the way down here to hang out with us, weirdo. He's just punting everyone. You should see Coombs, he's so sad. Coombs is sad, and I said, why are you sad? He said, because a pink car hit me. That was Sanson's car.
I don't know how to reply.
Mike,
Everyone's just gone silent.
Is this your first Spanners stream experience?
Very different to the rest of your
Sorry about that.
I
I bet WTF1 were dead sensible, weren't they? They were all like, and here is the news on the simulation race. Yeah? They're brilliant. Who do you like more? I saw them.
Oh, that's the look on Mike's face now.
Yeah, good job I'm not on the street.
See you later.
Spanners is going to run away and hide in front of his car.
Okay, so we are just waiting for just sort of race control, just to make sure they're going to get queued up, etc. Make sure they're happy with everything. I think they're having a quick briefing as well, as you can see.
Probably getting a bit of a reminder, stop ragging into each other and brake at the 100-meter board.
Or you just use the brake.
But yeah, using the braking area, it does. Yeah, for some of them, it almost seems like they've forgotten, as if they've been hitting the clutch rather than the brake pedal. Which I know sounds ridiculous, but I have seen that many times before.
it does happen a lot here.
I imagine you get that a lot because, of course, you don't just host professional events here. You're open to anybody basically, and I'm sure you do get some very basic rookie errors.
Yeah, and also you've got to remember junior drivers as well have to learn at some point. So we help them. And one thing you can do on the website, actually, if you wish, is just jump onto the lap data that you saw a moment ago. If you click on one of the drivers' names, next to it, when their lap times appear, is a graph, and that's their telemetry. So brake pressure, accelerator, steering angle, revs, lap. Well, it's basically a line to the quickest lap ever on that track with that car combination.
So Bradley, basically.
At this moment in time, yes, on that particular track.
Was it a 45.0? Because I could have sworn his first lap was like a 44.9.
He did, yeah, he was.
He smashed the lap record on his first lap.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous.
The pace of that man beggars belief. No wonder he is actually a professional racing driver. Of course, actually, if you do want to keep up with what Philpott is racing this season, the VLN Championship is live streamed on YouTube. Apparently, Brad likes his coffee black, I'm being told in the chat room, because I need a bit more trivia about these guys. I can't tell you about some of these drivers, actually, because although a lot of them we've just seen from the iRacing Championship, we do have some high-quality casters in there. Adriano Medeiros, as I mentioned, has been a Palmer Sport instructor since 2003. We also have a Palmer Sport F3000 tester in the form of Craig McAllister, who's been karting for 20 years and is a double BRKC Masters champion. So he certainly knows what he's doing behind the wheel of a go-kart, although his sim experience is lacking a little bit. He said he's been trying to beat Brad's lap times around the Nordschleife, which is quite an ambitious task given that Brad races there on practically a permanent basis. So we'll see how he gets along with that. Chris Turner, who's seen on the podium in both races, he's got a fair bit of karting experience. He was in the Red Bull kart fight with Bradley Philpott back in 2011, I believe that was. He's made the regional finals twice, but he says he's gotten too fat and old to match his pace. That's his words, not mine. That's not me being overly harsh. So I can hear the drivers being called to arms to get back into their pods. So I'll give you one more fact about Chris Turner. Is the Race Centre champion of 2014 and does a lot of charity racing as well. Helmet Club 24 Hours team, and made it to the second round of Race to Reality competition, where actually Brad made it onto the podium in that race, and sadly Chris did not make it to that one, but I'm sure it was a sterling effort nonetheless. So we haven't got long to go now until the final of the Missed Apex podcast Simply Race Sim event. If we can get the grid up again.
Oh, just bear with me one moment. Can you read that up there? It's a bit high.
Yep, so as we mentioned before, it's going to be David Hatton on pole position in the number 5 Porsche with Bradley Philpott on the front row. Chris Turner in third, and then Jake Sanson and Craig McAllister will be your top 5. And they're lining up on the grid now. And we are ready to go racing for the final of the Missed Apex podcast Simply Race event here in Milton Keynes. Lined up on the grid, Hatton on pole, as I mentioned.
Philpott's at
And
the back of the
actually,
grid.
Philpott has been put down to the back of the grid, so that promotes Turner to the front row. We're 5 seconds away from the start. Red light sequence has begun, and we are away and racing for the final. Which of the two Porsches has got the better start? Lightning start there from the purple BMW there of Richard Molden. I think he's jumped straight up into third place. A lot of side-by-side action, but it is Hatton who has gotten the clean start. Turner is being swallowed up by the pack a little bit as Molden goes around the outside, and Sanson follows him round to third place. That is the number 8 car of Craig McAllister going a little bit wide there. Side-by-side, Turner and Sanson off at the back there. I think that's Alex Van Gien who's gone off. No, it was Molden. It was Molden who's gone off. It's Van Gien going around the outside of turn 3, taking third place. No, Abbott's just got him back up into the podium placings now, and now he's got Philpott up his inside on the way into turn 4. So Philpott up into 4th, Nick Abbott up into 3rd. That is the first time we've seen him in such a high placing. Was there some contact at the back of the shot there? I think I saw. Yeah, that is the number 8 car again of Craig McAllister going around again. So not good for him. We're seeing that in the bottom right corner of the screen. Meanwhile, Philpott closing in on Abbott for the podium. Hatton leads 1.6 seconds over Sanson. We've got Van Gien in 5th place. Meanwhile, on the replay, is that Spanners that just got out a little bit wide there? You got a bit of a knock from McAllister there, so I'll explain why he's down in 7th. Philpott down the inside of turn 10. Can he get his stop? No, he can't, because Abbott's coming back up the inside and retakes 3rd place on the way into turn 11.
So just a quick replay, just going to rewind just on the bottom corner of your screen.
Philpott side by side again with Abbott. He's going through on the inside of turn 13. You don't often see cars side by side through there. Abbott is going to try and take him back though, but he's gone deep into the chicane. That's Philpott up into 3rd. So we're going to see what happened in the bottom right corner, what happened at turn 4. I think that is the green Porsche.
Yeah, so he spun out and then took Craig out, unfortunately.
So Craig, having got involved in a couple of incidents himself, then was slightly the innocent victim of that. The chat room wants to know whose fault is it. I'm sure that's a game we're going to play on the show later, as Abbott's gone too deep into turn 1. Has now got Alex Van Gien for company, battling for 4th and 5th place there. I think that was Sanson we saw going just a little bit wide on the exit of turn 3. And we've got Spanners, I think, is closing in on that battle for 4th place. We've got Sam Watley in 7th, Daniel Harrington up to 8th, Lee Coombs 9th, and Chris Turner down to 10th place. He was the real victim of the lap 1 carnage.
So I got a battle between number 2, which is Richard Malden, and Sedgwick, giving each other a couple of blows on that previous lap.
And McAllister right behind them, so that could be fireworks later on. We've seen how these three have driven to and a car that's just gone off there on the exit of turn 5. That's the number 3 car of Martin Bainon. That has now fallen down to the back of the pack. Philpott, meanwhile, is closing in on 2nd place. So we've got McAllister that's just picked up Ryan Sedgwick for 12th place, as we're seeing that in the bottom right corner of the screen. Philpott lurking around at the back of that pink Porsche. The Jake Sanson car, I wonder if he's going to have a run on him. Sanson looked like he was a bit tight into that chicane. That could give Philpott the run that he needs around this final corner and onto the pitch straight. 3.5 seconds now is Hatton's advantage as they come across the line with a little over 16 minutes remaining. Sanson doesn't feel threatened by Philpott on this occasion, I don't think, because he's not choosing to go defensive. He may regret that, because here comes Philpott up the inside of turn 1. Sanson is getting the switch back on him. I don't think he's going to make that run. Round the outside of turn 2. He's going to have the line on the way into turn 3. Sensational racing.
Wow.
That was great. Great start. That was all the words there was for that, wasn't there? Philpott is going to have another crack at the inside of turn 4. That we know there's bad blood between these two already, and they're giving each other just about enough quarter. Sanson, I don't think he made that word that time. He just got on the grass.
Just took too much curb.
Yeah, didn't quite get the run he needed out of there. Meanwhile, that is the number 6 car of Chris Turner making up places. So he's up into 8th place now. What a comeback it's been from him.
So good battle between, I'm just trying to catch this red BMW and teal green Porsche. So that's Chris Turner,
who we saw on the podium in both the heat races. So he really should be in amongst the action, but he got caught up in the first corner incidents. He was rather the innocent victim of that.
No, he actually lost control and spun.
Oh, did it? I could have sworn I
And
saw
then-
Craig
and then he took
McAllister
a-
getting in.
No, I
involved
think
in that.
he collected Craig.
Ah, okay, right. That might explain a few things.
So we're going to try and find some on-track battles.
The top three are spreading out a little bit because it's 3.2 seconds between Hatton and Philpott. I wonder if we'll see another closely fought drive between those two. Sanson is 5.2 off the lead. Van Gien in fourth place there is just a little over 10 seconds off the lead. He's got Nick Abbott for relatively close company. Although the battle between him and Spanners is hotting up because Spanners has launched up the inside of turn one. Little bit of argy-bargy to get it done. I wonder if Race Control is going to have anything to say about that. Did he get the move done by using him as a brake?
Side by side. It's fine.
Yeah, Rubbins
how I call
racing.
it.
Rubbins racing. Strong move there from Spanners, who's worked his way up into fifth place. With Abbott now sixth and Sam Watley closing in on that. No, Spanners has spun. Did he get a tap there from Nick Abbott because he's also gone off into the gravel?
We will get a replay very shortly on that.
So Spanners just recovering out of the gravel trap there. He's fallen way down now into 10th place. I think Abbott just about survived. He's only fallen down to 7th. So that's put Watley up into 5th place. Turner now up into 6th place. He could still make the top 5 in this race if he can get his foot down. Abbott has now got Daniel Harrington for close company in the battle for 7th place. Abbott had a really strong start to this race. He started slipping back, unfortunately. McAllister 9th, and now we're watching Spanners down. We can just see the Abbott-Harrington battle at the end of that shot there on the way into turn 10. Here we're going to see, oh, he did get a nudge from Abbott. No, that's Abbott. Yep, the red and white Corvette, number 12 car, that is indeed Nick Abbott. So I imagine there is going to be some sort of penalty coming his way. Looked like he just got too high into the corner, and Spanners, unfortunately, was en route to the scene of the accident. We're watching him now. He has picked up a couple of places.
So for that incident, Abbott has got a drive-through.
Drive-through penalty, so that is going to put him way down towards the bottom of the field and cost him this position he's in at the moment. Yep, there he is, down to 13th place, and that has put Turner up into 6th place. He's now got Sam Watley ahead of him if he wants to make the top 5. Meanwhile, the gap at the front of the field has come down to 1.5 seconds between Hatton and Philpott. So Philpott's been making short work of getting that gap down. He wants to win some sort of race here today. It will be, he'll be disappointed with himself if he doesn't come away with a bit of silverware. We're still with Spanners on the way into turn 5. And then we can just see the final chicane there. A couple of cars not quite getting the smoothest of runs through there. But it seems like Watley and Turner is the closest battle on track now for 5th place. A little under a second in it. And Turner on the recovery. Oh, who's just gone off there at the back of the shot? I think that was Lee Coombs in the blue Porsche that just went off at the high-speed right-hander of turn 9. As I say, Spanner's going to be trying working his way back into that battle. I think the best he can hope for now is 7th. If he can get ahead of Daniel Harrington, who's 5 seconds up the road. We've got 10 minutes left in this race. Watley and Turner getting very close together now. Only 4/10 between them, so it seems like that's a nose-to-tail battle. As McAllister just picks up Richard Molden there for 9th place. We're going to see the inboard view here from Lee Coombs, I think. They go into turn 9. Just too much speed. Turned in far too late into the corner, and the ambition he had when he threw the lock on the steering wheel there was fair, I think. So this is that battle for 5th place. Sam Watley ahead of Chris Turner as they exit turn 5. Turner, as I mentioned, on the recovery after a few mistakes on that opening lap. See if he can't find a way through. This is most definitely the closest battle on the track at the moment. But meanwhile, we have got Hatton and Philpott only separated by 0.6 of a second. So there's a good couple of battles going on there as Watley feels the need to go a little bit defensive. Meanwhile, we've got that McAllister and Malden in the bottom right hand corner of the screen battling away for 9th place, and Turner's got to run on the inside of Sam Watley into turn 13, and he's gone too wide on the exit of the corner. Will he be able to keep that position? I don't think he will. That's a tough one. Did he make the move stick by running off the track? I'm sure that's what race control are going to be looking at, but for now he has picked up 5th place. Meanwhile, Philpott is only 0.3 of a second away from David Hatton for the lead of this race. They're getting far too close together for comfort. Turner going defensive on Watley on the way into turn 1. Meanwhile, we can see the leaders in the bottom right corner of your screen coming through that final chicane as they take that exit of the final corner. Turner pulling away from Watley, so it seems like the quicker car, and he certainly doesn't think he's got a penalty unless he just feels like he needs to just bomb it and argue his point later. And Philpott making a lunge for the lead into turn 1. He's surely never going to get it stopped, and Hatton just about leaves him the space necessary to avoid contact. That was an ambitious move from Philpott. I think certainly maybe trying to give Hatton a bit of a fright and give up the position there, but you're not going to scare David Hatton off the road, I don't think. So that was round 1. Let's see what Bradley's got in store for David over the next few laps. Still just under 8 minutes remaining in this race, so a few more laps to try and make something happen here. Let's get a bit of a word from the chat room. Who do you think is going to win this one, guys? I think Brad certainly seems to be the popular man in the chat room there at the moment. So as they come round the pit straight once again, 0.4 separating them over the line, and it doesn't seem like anything doing now. Philpott's not going to try the ambitious move this time. I think he's not. If he's going to do it, he's got to do this properly and fairly, because I don't think you're going to scare David off the road. He might have to force him into some sort of error.
Brad's got a little bit more time on this occasion. 7 minutes left to go.
We can hear a couple of drivers. Oh, it's side by side on the way into turn 5. Hatton feeling the need to go defensive. It's quite an easy corner to defend, though. It's going to be the exit that matters, although never really seen turn 7 and 8 as an overtaking opportunity, if I'm honest, and that was a bit too much curb from Hatton there, although I saw him doing this and this chicane more at turn 8 than at turn 7, but he was doing that a lot in the second. Here, a bit wide on the exit of turn 9. Is that going to give Philpott the run? He's right in that slipstream. Hatton feeling the need to go defensive again. He's taking that extreme inside line. Philpott trying to dance around the outside. Oh, close stuff between the two leaders. I was saying that I think Hatton does prefer to take a little bit more curb. Whether it's actually quicker, I think it's anybody's guess. I don't think I'd be really the best person to ask. And that is Hatton getting a bit wide. There's no grip out there. He's starting to make some mistakes. He's gone deep into the chicane. This is Philpott's best opportunity yet, surely. Look at him all over the back of the Porsche there. He's going to have a great search team flashing his lights, make sure he knows he's there. This is going to be his best opportunity. Hatton is moving towards that inside, but Philpott is on the grass trying to find a way through. Side by side down this pit straight. Hatton is trying to make a defensive move to try and reclaim this position. Philpott takes it, but Hatton fights back and he slams the door in his face at turn 2. This is great racing for the lead of this final of the Missed Apex podcast Simply Race event here at Milton Keynes. We've got 5 minutes and 19 seconds still left of this action, and this incredible battle between Hatton and Philpott for the lead of this race rages on. So is he going to have another look here on the way into turn 5? No, not on this occasion, but Philpott is getting right up his rear bumper at the apex of that corner. I don't think he's going to have a lunge at turn 7, surely, although I think Hatton's gone wide there. Yeah, a bit of understeer. That's going to compromise his exit. Philpott's got a run on him. He's having to look up the inside of turn 9. Surely you can't overtake in there. Hatton leaves him the space. Philpott has gone wide on the exit, but I don't think that's actually cost him momentum. Oh, actually, I think it has a little bit. Hatton defending. Philpott takes the outside line. He's going to try the outside again. That didn't work for him this time, but he's stuck with it this time. No, Hatton squeezes him out. You can hear more shouting. I cannot imagine who that's from. I think it might be Sedgwick, because we've been hearing a lot of people shouting about the state of this. And no, Hatton's gone deep into the chicane again. Philpott is going to have his better run this time, surely. Nose to tail through that final corner. What sort of a run is he going to get on in this time? He's got the slipstream. He's closing in on him. Hatton again taking that extreme inside line. He's not going to let Philpott get the inside this time. Hatton on the inside. Philpott on the outside. Philpott has outbraked him and he's taken the lead. Sensational stuff there. Philpott much better on the brakes on that occasion. And he's got it done. Has Hatton got any kind of a rebuttal? Oh no, if he keeps going sideways like that through turn 3. We're seeing Sam Watley there running a little bit wide on the exit of the final corner. He's in 5th place. As we see Turner now up into 4th, Van Gien 6th. McAllister here we're looking at in 7th place. And Harrington and Malden side by side barging doors as they come through the final corner. That's Spanners getting involved in that as well. So it's Malden 8th, Harrington 9th, Spanners 10th. Spanners surely is going to be the one picking up a place here as Harrington again we see getting lured through the turn 7-8 chicane. Meanwhile, Spanners is going to try and make his way up into 9th place as he's in the slipstream and he's got the inside line on the run into turn 1. And he makes that nicely. Has he got a bit too deep into the corner? Yes, he has, because Harrington came back on the inside and there's contact between them. More controversy surrounding Daniel Harrington, unfortunately. I think Spanners will say he was entitled to his line there. But that is 9th place for him now. And we'll see him pick off Richard Malden soon, surely. He has had quite a fair bit of pace as Spanners in this race. Certainly over Malden anyway, who's already feeling the need to go defensive into turn 5. Not if he keeps driving like that. He's not. Spanners is off. Spanners through the gravel at turn 5 there, and with only 2 minutes left of this race, I don't think we're going to be seeing him pick up 8th place there. Philpott has just pulled away from Hatton, pulled the pin. 1.8 seconds the gap, with just under 2 minutes remaining. Sanson holding strong in 3rd place in a race of his own, really. 15 seconds behind Hatton and 20 seconds ahead of Turner. And Spanners again wide on the exit of turn 10. Another mistake there. And here we are. Are we going to see the replay of what happened between Spanners and Daniel Harrington? So here's Spanners with the run, with the slipstream. And very, very late on the brakes there. I will say he probably did outbrake himself a little bit, but I think it's just Harrington that understeers into him. So I can't really see Spanners getting a penalty for that, because you can't say he did anything wrong, in all honesty. This is Jake Sanson running in 3rd place, who's driven rather well, and of course he knows his way around motorsport, knows his way around the job I'm doing at the moment in calling this race. Of course, he did a significant segment of the Le Mans 24 Hours a few years ago in the commentary booth. So certainly knows his way around the microphone, and is proving he knows his way around the steering wheel of a racing car as well. There we go, 6 seconds now, the gap up front. Seeing a replay here of Sanson. Did he make a mistake somewhere along the road? Yes, he did. Way too fast into turn 5 and clobbers the barriers. Manages to get it going though. Luckily, Turner was a good 20 seconds behind him before that before that incident. Spanners has caught back up to Richard Molden, so maybe this isn't going to be the end of it with the last few corners coming up. And Molden taking the inside line. I think he's outbraked himself massively, because here comes Spanners up the inside. Richard Molden's nowhere to be seen in that shot. He's gone way, way off. But that's timeout has gone down to 0. So we are on the last lap. And Turner still fancies a run. Actually, he's lost out to Sam Watley. Turner's fallen down to 4th place there. And actually has got Alex Van Gien for close company. So this now on the final lap. This battle for 4th place is hotting up a little bit. Let's see what happened there. Oh, this is Hatton way, way wide on the exit of turn 10. And he spun this time. So again, good job. Sanson was a fair distance behind, but this seems to be the closest battle now on the circuit, with Watley in 4th in that black Corvette, Turner in the green Porsche, and Alex Van Gien in the purple Corvette. So 3 different makes of cars in this scrap. They come through turn 9. Meanwhile, here comes Bradley Philpott to take the checkered flag at the final of the Missed Apex podcast Simply Race event at Milton Keynes. He takes the win. It's going to be David Hatton in 2nd place, Sanson in 3rd. Who is going to be 4th, though? We are going to find out shortly, because Watley is maintaining that position over Turner and Van Gien. Turner is running out of opportunities now to take that 4th spot away from him. Bumping the curb at turn 13. He's going to have a lunge up the inside of the chicane. He tries for it and makes contact with him. Van Gien's going to pick up 4th place there, as Turner is still trying to get his car slowed down. He's letting the Corvette back through. I think that's fairly gentlemanly of him, but I think the damage has been done there. That was slightly over ambitious, unfortunately. But final corner, you've got to make some sort of a move, but I didn't think that was quite on.
All or nothing comes to mind.
Absolutely, and I mean, fair play. It was a slightly ambitious move. I think if he hadn't have clobbered the curb so hard, he wouldn't have whacked into it, but all to the benefit of Alex Van Gien, who picks up 4th place. Craig McAllister in 5th, Sam Watley in 6th, and Turner 7th, although there might be a penalty coming his way. Richard Molden did manage to hold off Spanners there, with Nick Abbott completing the top 10. What a piece of racing action we have seen here at Simply Race today.
Not bad for a sim race.
No, it's all right, isn't it? I mean, this whole esports malarkey, it could really take off in the next couple of years, no?
Don't you think it's already done?
Absolutely. No, it has really proven itself to be just as high quality as real racing. And it's a great way as well for drivers who haven't had the same opportunities as others to get some racing in and prove themselves in a good way.
Definitely. It gives more opportunity that, you know, some drivers can't get into sort of traditional motorsport routes such as karting, etc. It's a little bit inaccessible if you don't have funding, and it looks like we're joined by Spanners.
Here we go, we've got Spanners in the booth. Tell us about that race, man. You look like you got punted a little bit.
I just want to say thanks to nearly all the people who showed up today. No, I mean, I was fighting for 4th pretty much at one point, because I was 6th, I think, behind Abbott. Got past Abbott down the straight, and then I think he just outbroke himself up into turn 4. Just that little nudge, and it's so frustrating, because you think, if I can just hold it, I'll be okay. And I just lacked the skill to keep it straight.
To be fair, I don't think many people would have been able to hold on to that. It was a fair whack that he gave you, but we have seen quite the aperture of racing from this event here in Milton Keynes. Let's get Alex Van Gien's thoughts on that final corner between Turner and...
I don't know what they were playing at. Turner definitely slowed down. I don't know what he was messing about with. And yeah, I was like, right, I'm on the back of these two, and he's going for a move. Let's see what happens. And they were going so quick into that chicane, I'm like, They're not coming out the chicane. I'm like, I'll take that. I ain't bothered. At least I hopefully have redeemed myself from how much I suck at iRacing by coming fourth overall today.
Well, here is the man himself. Let's get his thoughts. Let's get his thoughts on the incident. I mean, it was a nice recovery drive right up until that final chicane.
Yeah, I'd love to see the replay of that. I thought it was worth a do-or-die move. I wanted a bit of a play, to be honest.
All or nothing was Mike's comment, so I think we've got his approval.
Absolutely right. I wasn't on the podium, so I just went for it. Go for it. I was taken out, I think it was by Van Gien on the first lap.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. And so
about what happened
a little bit later on, when I came up and we were side by side through the left-right, I thought I'd given him plenty of room, but clearly not. That's not what he was thinking.
Oh, yeah, we'll have a look at that if I can try and bring it up. I'm not sure. We did replay the start a little bit, but there were so many battles on circuit we had to keep an eye on at that point.
Yeah, fair enough. Absolutely. But I had a really good time. That was absolutely awesome. It's nice to actually meet these guys and actually get to race them on track, which is just awesome.
Yeah, because it's not something that we do all that often, and we are trying to increase the number of events where we get all of us and a few listeners in a room together to race, to battle, to talk as well, because normally we're all on the other ends of a Skype call trying to do a podcast, so it's a nice change for us to be doing something together. And of course at around 7 o'clock tonight we are going to be doing our live show recording.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be my quiz in there. There's going to be you guys on the panel.
Yep, we've got a great debate coming on about Formula One standardized parts, so that's going to be quite the interesting debate in about 45 minutes, Spanners is saying. So there we go.
Just got to set everything up.
Debate.
Not using our broadcast. He's got his own setup, haven't you?
Yeah, no, of course. We are being simulcast on Simply Races channels as well, but that will just be on the Missed Apex podcast YouTube channel. So if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do that. You'll get notified when we go live with that.
Okay, so we'll be handing over very shortly to Grant, but Alex is looking at me.
That's all right. No, I just wanted to say, I just want to have a quick conversation with Catman here. So I've been so nice to him all week about the quiz, because I've always come off fairly badly in his quizzes. Does me beating you affect me in the quiz?
Well, I want to see the replay of that incident, and if you were at fault, then expect
the one that I wasn't involved in. Good. So I'm going to win the quiz. I'm going to get the answers in a minute, and I hopefully remember them for the actual quiz.
Before we wrap up here, let's get Bradley Philpott in here as well, the race winner of our final. That was quite the intense battle you had with Hatton.
Yeah, it was a really good fight, wasn't it? I was just saying out there to the guys, that's the kind of battle that you dream of having, and you don't really mind. Although you'd still like to win, if you came second in a fight like that, you'd go away and shake the guy's hand and everyone would be smiles. A little bit Rosberg, Hamilton, Bahrain, was it 2016 or whenever it was? Where
14.
14, wow. It's a long time ago. Anyway, where although you'd be annoyed if you didn't win, you'd still be happy that you had a really good fun fight, and that was one of those. It was really good, really clean. I thought he held on really well. He just started making a few mistakes when he came under a lot of pressure. So do we have any replays? I want to see the pass on the grass down to turn one.
We were losing our voices in here about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
He got me straight back. That was the best thing. I was like, fair play. You've actually immediately repassed me. So the battle resumed.
And he did put up quite the defence, especially around the hairpin at turn 10, and I can see what he was going for. When you did eventually pass him, you can see what he was going for. Just didn't quite pull off the right defence.
Yeah, but he did an excellent job. He held me at bay for a long time, and he was the only one. Everyone else I kind of got through quite easily, but he was the real stopper. And I didn't beat him in the second race. He actually beat me, so it was good. Really good racing. Nice cars to drive.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, great. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so
show us some replays.
We are going to wrap up now,
Just going to say thank you to anybody who's tuned into this, either live or has caught it up. I think our winners is Brad Philpott, David Hatton, and who was in third place after all that? We won't do it live. No, we won't do it on the stream. Do you really want to see everyone standing up and go clap, clap, clap? Next time. We'll do that next time. But who was third? Chris Turner.
No, that was the heats results. Who was third in that race in the end? Oh, it was Sanson.
Jake Sanson.
Sanson in the pink Porsche.
Old Crasher Sanson.
Jeansy picked up fourth from the incident at the final chicane there.
But chasing down Jeansy.
We have seen some incredible racing here around the Circuit Barcelona, Catalonia.
Guys, get involved. Next time, I want at least 30 people here, 2 rounds, so we're swapping over heats and a proper A final and B final. Until our next podcast, remember that wounds heal, chicks dig scars, and glory lasts forever. We'll see you soon, and now there's going to be an awkward pause while Mike turns off the stream. Maybe we could shuffle some papers or something, or
do the newscaster
yeah,
thing.
shuffle some papers. So we just look around. I don't know. What do you do with your hands in this? Just bye. I've said bye already.